Y'all, this is not the same world we lived in 20 years ago. A shift has happened and we just now seeing the effects of it. And you know what? I don't care what nobody says. Right now, a lot of people don't feel safe on their jobs anymore. They don't feel safe physically, emotionally, and definitely not financially. And you can see it all in people's eyes. And especially if you're a Gen Xer, you better shut your mouth up and don't say nothing about it. You better fake it until you make it. You better grit your teeth and bear it. Don't nobody want to hear about that because, we were taught to be loyal. You show up, you grind, and you don't
Mhm.
complain, you don't talk about it, you just do it. And can I say this? Gen Xers were not taught the job hop. Oh, you don't hop around. You better stay at that job and build some roots. That's how you raise your family. You know why people don't feel safe physically is because none of us was prepared to be trying to find jobs over 40. And none of us was prepared to be trying to work up into our 70s and 80s now. Y'all know my job moved me 65 miles out. My job was restructured. So I remember a time me and my coworkers, we were in a relaxed environment. Everybody had their own office. Nobody had all of this weight and pressure on them. We could joke with each other. And now I can tell the difference in my coworkers and myself included. And y'all may see it in you all's coworkers too. Like when there's talks of cuts and when you don't know if you're going to have a job, when there's all this uncertainty, people moods change. People can feel it physically and mentally and spiritually. That's a joke you used to tell to your coworkers. They used to just laugh about it, but now you better not tell that joke. It ain't funny anymore. The whole mood, the atmosphere has just shifted. It changed all of a sudden. People now have different fears now on the job. There's so many layoffs now. They're talking about replacing people with AI. And you better not make a mistake because your supervisor is ready to write you up, ready to get rid of you so they can save more money by getting you off the job. Oh yeah, these jobs are
Man, she is saying a lot of factual things. And what I'll say too, you know, I think what it ultimately comes down to is the fact that you can't be comfortable in today's job market. Like the idea of comfortability and stability, like she said, to be able to just grow your roots at an organization and think that you're going to be safe. I would say that those times are over because it's become more acceptable to be purely capitalistic. And I would even say it's starting to get incentivized. When we talk about AI, when we talk about automation, I mean, how are you going to compare the trade-off between if there's a job that you can replace with a robot and if there's a job that you can replace with a person? Like I say a lot of times, I go to the gas station and I'll see the robot mopping the floor. It used to be a person who had to mop the floor, but now the robot does it. So that saves them a lot of time and effort. And that's a person who would have mopped the floor that now is not needed to do that. Guess what? Think about how many things could have went wrong in that situation before when you had the real person. The person mopping the floor could have slipped and fell, and now you have to pay a workers' comp and possibly even a lawsuit. The robot's going to show up every day on time. He's going to make sure that it's mopped. You're going to see it there. You don't have to deal with no attitude. You don't have to deal with no person. And I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but this is just where things are moving towards. And it happened very fast. And it's going to be a multiplier year over year because we have artificial intelligence. So she's talking about the way things were, 20, 30 years ago. Now things are going to jump like they do every 20, 30 years, probably every 3 to 5 years. So that's just the world we live in now. And, she's speaking the absolute truth.
very disrespectful now. And they ain't even being discreet with it now. They letting you know exactly where you stand. I was upset about the company potluck because they wanted me to participate in the potluck. And I just feel like if you want to celebrate coworkers, don't make them participate in potlucks. Just cater it. We're not chefs. We're not cooks. We got enough pressure going on. And because I refuse to participate in the potluck, now you want to lower my score on my appraisal because I'm not a team player, just because I'm trying to protect my health. I don't like that. Have y'all ever had to deal with that potluck situation at work? Now you know you can't get a raise. We're gonna give you a 1% this time. We're not giving you the full 2%. I don't know about y'all, but my coworkers, we are experiencing a different kind of stress because we're over 40. All of us were restructured, moved 65 miles out. I drive the furthest out of everybody. And when you're over 40, and some people pushing 60, you kind of move slower. Those
I want to ask a question real quick. Are they still doing 1%, 2% raises? That's a genuine question. Because that's insane in my opinion. If that is the case, that there's still jobs where they only give you like you'll work for years, or maybe even if it's just a year or 6 months, and you only get 1% raise. Really think about what that's saying. Even if you were making $100,000, if you get a 1% raise, that's $1,000, and that $1,000 is gonna get broke apart so many different ways. It's gonna get taxed, Social Security, Medicaid, state tax. So I don't think. See, I guess if we're talking about the stock market, 1% can be great if it's in the green. But when we're talking about a job, 1% for a raise for years out of somebody's life, that doesn't make any sense to me. People probably only gonna work what, 40, 45 years, and it's they're not gonna give you a raise every year after year after year. Maybe they will. Maybe that's how it works, but nah, man. You could, I don't know, 1%, 2%. That don't do nothing. Especially when you're talking, most people make significantly less than $100,000. You giving somebody a 1% raise on 50,000, extra $500 that got taxed. Come on, man.
driving all of those miles affects your body. And people are doing the work of three people now. Some people even travel to different offices and locations to perform jobs. They're filling in the gaps because these companies are not hiring any more people. So you got to do everything. And that's why I leave my coworkers alone. I don't force them to engage in conversation with me because sometimes they may be having an off day and I'm not forcing them to fake smile. I'm not forcing them to be in conversations because you all know how some people get mad because somebody not speaking to them or talking to them today. You don't know what type of pressures people got going on now because people are over 40. You know, you're at an age now where you may be taking care of aging parents, you may be taking care of your grandkids, and people don't have time to be playing games at work anymore. So that's why I like to give people their space, give people room to breathe. Y'all see, I got my work jacket on today. This is the color we wear when we go out into the field and talk to the community. Sometimes, social workers, we put our life on the line going out into these communities. And the world is not the same anymore. And I never feel safe going out into the community, especially by myself as a female, but are not the same anymore. Well, they've been crazy, but now they are really comfortable in showing you.
So she's about to go off on another subject, and I want to stay here because she addressed something that, and this is going to be the last thing we talk about. She addressed something that I think is super important as far as having the understanding and being able to look past what you want and understand that people are people, and people go through things. People deal with things in their personal life. And, people are going to show up to work and they're going to, what you would hope, and, what we see most times is they're going to compartmentalize and they're going to do the job and they're not going to let it come outward too much. But that doesn't mean that they're not still going through it. So then when you have all these extra expectations of you wanting a person to engage with you the way you would like them to engage with you, right? You're a friendly person and you just want to just talk all day because she mentioned she's not going to force her coworkers to talk to her. And I think that's good because people are different. But we seem to forget that when we're talking about a job. There's this cognitive dissonance in society where we encourage authenticity, right? We don't want anybody who is being fake. That's not good. And that can come with a whole heap of problems. But then at the same time, you still do want them to perform And when I say perform, I'm not talking about job performance. I'm talking about like theatrical. You want them to perform and act happy and act cheery and show up to the potluck and cook. You know, you just have to respect one that there's different type of people out here, and then two that maybe they're going through something. If someone's not friendly, maybe it's not that they're not a friendly person. Maybe they're dealing with something in their personal life. You know, it's only really acceptable to share good news at work. It's not acceptable to share bad news at work, right? That would kill the vibe. And I don't think you should share your bad news at work anyway. I don't think anybody needs to know that. But you don't have to overshare. But we still have to understand that we can't just see somebody and say that, oh, they're this way and they're a downer or whatever the case, when maybe they're actually going through something. And if they're doing their job, if they're doing a good job, and if they're performing, then let's just leave it alone. It's not that deep. We don't have to go into this whole culture thing and where you're trying to get more out of somebody. Just respect them. If they're doing what they're supposed to do, let them do it, and then let them be on their way. Maybe they're managing their energy, whatever it could be. So I love this video. I like what she was talking about. She pretty much summed up a lot of things today. And yes, the takeaway is really that yes, the world's moving fast. You have to be agile. If you're somebody that values comfort, then you're going to be going through a lot of ranges of emotions when you actually deal with the reality out here. It's going to feel unstable. But if you're somebody who is wanting to optimize yourself and just really just wanting to deal with reality and still try to not let it affect you too much, then you just gotta take it for what it is. You gotta adapt. You gotta keep it pushing. So we'll leave it there. Like the video. Also subscribe if you want to join the Limitless Legion. Cash app link below if you want to tip the channel. Buy your boy Ice Coffee. And also feel free to join the Patreon where I post self-improvement content. Until then, I'll catch you in the next video.